My god, he's got my track. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, Type 59's here to help me. Nice, nice. You know, if you... I'm glad he's here. Now, see how I'm kind of bouncing around and dodging? Hey guys, welcome back to another strategy series with your host nethervoid, also known as John, and today I'm doing the E8, as you can see here. Everybody loves this tank. I think I had bad luck in this tank. I didn't feel like it was that great, but I think it's just because there are a lot of maps where it's really... This is definitely a flanking tank. I might say that right up front. And there are a lot of maps where you're going to have a hard time flanking, and so there's not a lot you can do with this tank if you can't flank people. One of the ones is El Haloof, which I just got out of. I think it's El Haloof, the one where each side starts on high ground and there's a valley, and so that valley makes it really hard to flank people in the way into enemy territory, because you have to climb that hill, and nobody goes in the valley. It's just a camp fest except for A1. A1 is really just a heavy area, so there's not a lot you. So that's what I mean about map. There are certain maps where you can't do a lot of flanking, and so this tank kind of sucks because you can't take any hits. So you're, I don't know, you have to kind of pick and choose your shots at that point and kind of snipe, I guess. You can get into good flank positions to kill one guy or something. I just found that this tank was very hard to did not have a very good survivability rate. As you can see, let's just go over the stats. It's got 750 hit points, which is pretty good. I was looking at a T-34-85, and he only had like 690. It might have been because he had the stock turret, but it's still pretty good for a tier 6. It's got 520 horsepower engine, pushing 30 tons, and that's actually pretty good power to weight ratio. I was looking at the 3001H, and it's actually a little heavier, and the engine is, I think it's a little bigger. I don't know. Let's just look at it again. I was trying to compare the two tanks. So this one's got, a 650 horsepower engine, and I think it fully upgraded. It probably weighs 34 tons. It's just gonna guess there. Let's say 33 or 34 tons. So the engine is actually a lot better on that tank, and that makes the acceleration better. And so I think that just makes that tank a lot better of a flanker than this tank. It's still a good tank. The E8's still a good tank. But it just doesn't flank as well. It's got 48 speed limit. I don't usually get up to that. It does have a good top speed, and you can get up to top speed. Just wish I had a little more horsepower to get that acceleration. The acceleration's not really awesome. So you want to be moving when you're getting into position. You don't want to start popping out and then start trying to flank, because your acceleration's not going to be good enough. So definitely make a running start to get that acceleration up so you can flank people. 37 traverse speed, it's decent, it's pretty average. The hull armor is really poor at 63. A PZ4 has better hull armor than that at 80, so this is definitely not... You're going to get hit every time you get shot at, is kind of what makes this tank so difficult. It's got 76 turret armor, again, that's really not great. And this kind of... The E8 really takes the problems that they had with the M4 Sherman in the war, which is no armor, and just kind of moves them up to this tank. Again, no armor. It's better than the M4, but everything the Germans have and the Russians have are going to go right through that armor. So they really should have upped the armor. And a lot of during the war, I was watching some more stuff on the M Sherman, and during the war, they got feedback about the M4 Sherman saying you need to up the armor on this thing because it can't go toe to toe with other tanks. And they never really listened, even with the E8 here. The Jumbo, they did listen, and if you look at the stats on the Jumbo has similar stats to the E8. It has slightly less mobility, and the acceleration is obviously worse. I can't get the upgraded engine. The engine's the same, so if it's just a 520 engine, the weight is roughly similar. It's 3 more kilograms, or I guess tons. Yeah, 3 more tons. So, and it does accelerate slightly less, but look at the differences in hull armor. 101, and I mean, look at the turret. It's like triple the turret armor. So the E2 I thought was better just because it has better survivability. Now it's a little harder to flank with because it does have a little less mobility, but everything else on it's the same, including the gun. Just the armor on it is ridiculously better, and I have a lot more success in the E2, and I have a lot better chances to sway the battle in our favor because I have more survivability. But anyway, back to the E8 here. Turret traverse speed at 45 is good. That's the same as the E2. It has the same turret. So that was also good. 420 view range is pretty good. If you put the binocs on it, it gets well over 500. It is nice to have those binocs because sometimes I did try to do a little bit of scouting with this thing just to see some enemies so I could start flanking, because if you can't see the enemy, you can't do any flanks. You got to know where they are. Let's look at the radio. It's got a 700-meter radio. That's pretty good, and you will be using this radio all the way up the line into the patent. I'm pretty sure. Let's look. I actually didn't look at that. I just figured. See, and that's one of the assumptions I used to make when I saw Tier 9 radios. You're going to be able to use it all the way up the line. T20. That's the size of the tank I see here. Where's the? That's weird. So apparently you can only use it up to the T20, which makes it maybe not as valuable. Okay, I just paused the video there to figure it out. You know what it is? If you look at the tech tree, the Pershing uses the T10 radio that comes off the heavy line. So if you've done the heavy line, then you should have this the Tier 10 radio for the Pershing. So it might not make a lot of sense to buy that radio. I think I've had that radio for a while anyway, so it made sense for me. On the Sherman, this M3 Stewart gets that. That's a really good idea to unlock this radio for the lower tiers. M3 Lee, yeah, you can use this radio all the way up the line. So it's definitely worth getting this radio. Puts your signal range up to 700 meters, especially if you're trying to flank and get in deep enemy cover. And you also get extra XP and credits just for spotting enemy vehicles and being able to signal back enemy locations while they're being damaged. The track upgrades here, pretty good at going up from 37 to 40 degrees per second. Anything you could do on this tank to get better mobility, do it. So that's definitely a welcome increase there. You don't really need the tracks to upgrade all parts of this tank. I can upgrade the entire tank without upgrading the tracks, but the track upgrade is really for mobility, because you definitely need that on this tank. You start out with a 380 horsepower engine. It's not that good. It's actually pretty sluggish, especially when you're trying to flank. This tank's a little hard to play stock because you can't flank with it, and the gun is okay on it. You should be able to throw this first 76mm on it immediately because you got it from the Sherman, and I really recommend that because look at that, it's 128 pen, 150 damage. Even if you can't flank, you can probably penetrate people from the front. So for a while, you're just going to have to, until you get some track and engine upgrades, you can try to flank, but you're going to have not as good a success doing that. So those are the modules. Let's do some research. So before we get into the E8 tech tree itself, I wanted to look at the upgrade path for the American mediums. And you can see the E2 and E8 obviously share a tier, and they also share the same upgrade path. You actually just get the choice of which tank you want to use to get to the T20. A lot of people like the E8. I don't really know why. Well, that's if you came from the Sherman. If you came from the M7, you don't get that option. You have to use the E8. And that kind of sucks. It's really good to go through the M4 Sherman. Well, anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. A lot of people like the E8, so they like going through that path to the T20. I like the E2 because it's a little more survivable, and it has the same gun, and it almost has the same mobility. The E2 is a little slower, but it's got more than double the armor, so I just think the E2 is a lot easier to tank to play, so I like playing it more. I have get more enjoyment out of it. Now, also, if I go the E2 route, I can unlock the M6 and go up the heavy line if I have not worked on the heavy line. So that's another advantage. If you work all the way down to the patent and you think, oh, I want the heavy line, you don't have to go through all the M3 Lee and the T1 heavy and all that stuff. You don't have to grind from the bottom. You can just use the E2, get the M6, and shoot straight up that list there. So that's another reason to go M4 and E2, in my opinion. So now that we've talked about that, let's go into the E8's tech tree here. So if you went through the M4 anyway, you should have all four of these first tier unlocked on this research tree. So right away you're going to throw the first engine on, the radio, and I would throw the 76 on there. That's what I would prefer because it's got the 128 pen and 115 damage. It's got really nice reload speed. But if you like the 105, you can put it on there. I don't really like this. It's too much of a gamble for me. Using HE, especially after the nerf, is, in my opinion, not a great idea. So here's something funny about this tank. You can get the upgraded turret and the upgraded M1A2 gun without having to get the tracks. You have plenty of space on this tank to do all that. I'm not sure about the let's see if you can even get the extra engine. Yes, you can. This thing has like, oh, whoa, what did I do here? This thing has 3 extra tons of weight when you first get it when it's stock, so you can throw this whole, you can upgrade the entire tank without even getting the tracks. Now, I kind of don't think that's a good idea because this tank really has a problem with mobility, and it has to be a flanking tank, so you want to get your mobility up as soon as you can. So you're going to throw the engine on, you're going to get the first gun and all that stuff, and then I would probably unlock the tracks, because the only thing you get out of the second gun is a faster reload speed, which is awesome, but it's not the end of the world. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like it's getting you a lot of extra pen because you're having penetration problems. So I would probably go for the tracks first. Throw those tracks on, get your mobility up. Then I would do the turret and the M1A2. And then after that, I get this last engine. Fill anything else out you need and go for the T20. Or if you're not going down the medium line, you have the choice to get the M36. You're probably going to go the T20 if you're going through the E8 because, well, I don't know, maybe you did go. I don't know why you would go down the E8 line to switch over to the tank destroyer line. That doesn't make any sense. Plus, it's a side. It's moving to the side, so it's not even moving up a tier. So anyway, get the T20, but you also have the option to go back and go up the TD line. You can start at the M36 Slugger, which is a really great TD. I really enjoyed it, and I do have a video on it, so you can check that out too. So that's this tech tree. The priority list will be over here on the side as always, and let's get back to some equipment. So for equipment, I would definitely go with the toolbox on this thing, and that's because, especially with anything you can do to help this thing flank, it was just going to make this thing a lot better. And getting tracked is just going to be, you're basically going to die because you can't bounce any shots. Someone was telling me, oh, I love the E8, and I said, well, the survivability is horrible, and he said, well, just don't get hit. Well, that's every tank. Don't get hit in any tank, So if you're going to go that route, you're going to need the toolbox. You're going to need, maybe the camo net would help if you're trying to hide, wait for that flank opportunity. And then, the rammer's good. This thing already has really good reload speed, so you might not need the rammer. You could get the vent. That will help you with your everything, your acceleration, top speed, all that stuff. I'd probably get the vent, definitely. And then you could probably also get the vert stab if you're going to try to flank, because that'll help you with your shooting on the move. You won't have to stop. Although, I didn't really notice any problems with hitting people with this tank while I was flanking them, but the vert stab is still a good idea. It's very costly, but you can use that all the way up to the patent. I'm probably going to be putting a vert stab on when I get the T20 after this. I won't be getting the T20 via the E8 though. I will be going the E2 Sherman route, just because it's so much easier to play. I like it a lot better. Survivability rate's higher, and I've also got a lot more experience on it because I've just had a lot better success with it. Now, I don't normally do this, but let's look at my stats on this tank. I want to do more comparisons between the E8 and the E2. I've played the same, well, I've played one more game now in the E8 because I wanted to check out the extra engine upgrade. I actually didn't have that engine upgrade. It didn't make a lot of difference, but, anything to help is great, but I didn't get a chance to flank. Now, I do have a 56% win rate on this thing, which is not bad. Probably the first 8 games, or maybe 15 games on this thing, I had like a 40% win rate. I couldn't flank. I was just getting killed like immediately, and you can see I have a very low survivability rate compared to my 32% average. 24 is really not that great. So 14 and 11, not horrible, but it's really hard to change the outcome of the battle with this tank because you rely so much on everybody else on your team. If they get knocked out, you're a sitting duck. You're gonna get killed. Whereas, say, in the T32, your other teammates can get knocked out, and you can still take on 2 or 3 guys. You might die, but if they're already pretty low, you can take them on. With this tank, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to hide and do some weird tricks. 72% hit ratio. The gun is good on this thing. What can I say? 598 average experience. I didn't do poorly in this tank. It's just that. Let's look at the E2. A little bit higher average experience, much better win rate, and that's because I, being a better player, I think on average, can influence the battle more in the E2 than I can the E8, because I can push on people if I have to. If people aren't going to help, I can push. If people don't help in the E8, you can't push. You rely a lot on your teammates. A lot higher survivability rate. I mean, it's not, the percentage isn't higher, but that's a lot compared to, that's a little more than my average, I think. Didn't kill as many in battle. 3 and 4, it's about the same, really. Hit ratio a little better because I don't have to be moving as much in this tank. I can stop and take a shot because I don't have to worry so much about getting hit. So that's just doing a little bit of comparison there between the two. Got a steel wall in the E2. You won't get a steel wall in this thing, you're going to die. So that's equipment and a little extra with statistics there. Excuse me. With ammo, 57 and 14 worked well for me. I never ever shoot HE really in these tanks. It's got a good gun with 128 pen. You probably need some AP. You're going to be reloading quite a bit faster in this tank. I did not go over the differences between the guns, actually, or the turret. Sorry. So the turret, let's just go back real quick. You get a little bit of armor increase, and you get a little slight with traverse goes down a little bit. View range goes up a lot though, so it's definitely worth it. But anything you could do to get that armor up is great. The gun, you get 20% more reload speed, and you do get a slight reload speed buff with the better turret. So you're going to want to get that. You don't see any other increases as far as damage and penetration, but reloading a lot quicker. You can kill your enemies faster when you flank them. So definitely get that upper tier gun. So saying that, you're going to be shooting lots of AP. I never did run out, but 57 is good. For consumables, I just went with 5.5 to repair tracks here with the small repair kit. I don't get any other consumables because the tank does not make enough money to warrant it, and you don't last long enough to repair anybody or bring like a crew member back to life, because once you start getting hit, chances are you're going to be knocked out of the game. So at tiers 5 and 6, I don't worry about anything else but a small repair kit. So that's this tank. Let's get into a battle and show you one of the battles where I did do well on it and how to use this tank. So hopefully show you some flank moves here. Alright, Ensk. Great map. Really for heavies, I find I like this map more than I do with mediums. And it was really hard to get good games with the E8. This is a pretty good game that I had, and I really do believe that is because the E8 relies heavily on other people spotting for them, knowing where people are before they move in, and kind of wolf packing up with other guys where you go out with 2 or 3 mediums. And really that's just because it's so soft. Like another poster said, don't take any damage. Well, I mean, that's every tank. You don't ever want to get hit, but so really I feel like the Russian line is better than the E8, just because the Russian line also has low armor and you're not supposed to get hit, but it has more speed maneuverability to counter that, and I don't think the E8 has enough. It's good, but it's just not enough. The gun is, I like the gun on the E8. I like it better than the Russian guns, I think, because it's more accurate and it reloads faster and stuff, but as far as maneuverability, because you don't have any armor, the E8 just, to me, doesn't get there. And that's why I like the E2 better, because, whoa, 1375 coming up on me. This could get really ugly, because he's gonna, oh yeah, see, he's got that magazine, and I really don't want to get, oh man, oh my god, he's got my track. Oh yes, yes, yes. Okay, Type 59's here to help me. Nice, nice. You know, if he I'm glad he's here. Now, see how I'm kind of bouncing around and this is what I do when I close in dogfight. I kind of bounce around, make the guy turn his turret a lot. Usually, a lot of guys will miss, so I say thanks right here to that Type, because without that Type, I probably would have been dead. Although, when he was trying to reload, I probably would have had him, because the reload times on those things are crazy ridiculous. It takes forever. KV with unupgraded turret, almost the same armor as the upgraded turret, and it even has slope, and you can still pen it way, way more reliably. Which, that doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. So here I'm going to do flank moves. With this tank, you have to do flanking. You have to play this tank smart, or you will just die. You know, the whole point, like, don't get hit. So if you don't flank, you're probably going to get hit. So if the KV has an option of shooting me or that Type 59, he's going to pick me. Boom! KV's dead. So good flanking right there. Now, I could go off to the right or the left right there, but I don't know where people are, so I'm just going to stick with this Type. Nice. So I'm fighting. That's a T-29. He lit him on fire. I'm trying to get some flanks, but that T-29 is wedged in there, so it's going to be tough. Might have to just 1-2 punch this guy. Full 47 hit points. Ah, well, Artie. Well, at least it looked like Artie. Again, okay, IS-3. He's engaged with the type. Let's do some flanks. Hope that wasn't your truck. If you parked it there, not a good place to park your truck, man. So, flank, boom, right here. Before he even knows what's going on, I back up. I'm already got my shot off, and I'm already getting backed up. Luckily, he didn't hit me there, or if he did, it wasn't very hard. So he's tracked now. I'm not going to pop out because the type has not engaged him yet. Or there's another E8. So now he's shot. It's just not worth it. If he has time to focus me, it's not worth even going after him. Oh, there's a soft target, an M12. Let's do that guy. 400 hit points. Really what you want to do is once people light things up, then you go after them. Be kind of like a vulture on kills. I mean, not really kill shots. No, he already got hit. But as far as letting everybody else move out, light everything up, and then vulture in on that kill. Support those guys. Flank. Wolf pack up. You know, so it kind of screws the enemy up. They don't know who to shoot at. They get overwhelmed. Took out the Artie right there. Actually, the Artie was... Oh, man. A little bit of paint. Trading paint right there. Type, that IS-3 is still up. Looks like it can... I think that's the front. Nah, it didn't matter. I hit the little train or whatever. So see the reload speed on this gun? It's pretty nice. It's nice to be able to shoot a few times at a guy. Especially if you got some side shots. So that was a pretty good game. 1100 XP, and a lot of that probably was because of the damage I put on the type, and also some of the damage I got on the IS-3 Tier 8 tanks. Obviously, I didn't get a medal. It's hard to get medals in Tier 6s, especially in a game where you're more toward the bottom. And I wanted to show you this game. I actually had a game with a Top Gun sniper that you saw a mini-game preview of. I had 7 kills in that game, but I was top tier. And those games are kind of easy to play. They're not. It doesn't take rocket surgery for someone to figure out how to kill everybody when you're the top tier. I wanted to show you a game where you're kind of lower on the list, and as a tier 6, you're going to get thrown in these games a lot, where there's tier 9s and tier 8s are swarming all over the place. So that's kind of how you do it. You let the bigger tiers go first, and you kind of wolf pack with them like that type, and flank with them, and just kind of help them out, confuse the enemy. You know, hopefully it's going to be 2v1s. Try to get into 2v1s with them enemies. So that's it for the Easy 8. I might be doing the Easy 2 next week. I'm not really sure yet. Stay tuned. I'll keep doing these doubles. And I'll see you next time. Please like, comment, and favorite, and let me know what you think. See you guys.